From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your Early Riser Update.
Everything Medical has been your complete source for medical supplies since 2007. Our 10,000 square foot showroom has the largest selection of home medical equipment in the North State. We have what you need. Everything Medical, Athens Avenue, Reading.
Well, the inland valleys, the mountains are all expecting to see some heat coming in over the next few days. In fact, there's an excessive heat warning and a heat advisory, which we'll get into here in a second. Now, this heat wave will peak, that is, over the weekend, but next week, not as hot around here. All right, here's a look at those heat alerts. Now, you can see for northern Humboldt County, which includes, say, Hoopa and not to mention Willow Creek, there is a heat advisory essentially for the weekend. And you'll notice for Trinity County, all of Trinity County, there is an excessive heat warning. Now, I'm expecting highs most likely around 105 at tops for places like Hoopa and Willow Creek, whereas places like Weaverville, Hayfork, possibly upwards of 107 to 108 degrees. Now, that's going to be mainly peaking through the weekend, as I mentioned. As you can see for Weaverville, 108 to 107 for the weekend. But look at that big drop in our temperatures going through next week. We certainly have some cooler weather, or not as hot, to look forward to as we go to next week. But today, as we go into today, temperatures around 92 degrees inland and for the coast in the low 60s. And I think we could even see a little bit of clearing this afternoon, although it may be a little bit more difficult this afternoon for the coast. Looking at Trinity County today, yeah, temperatures in the mid 90s for your daytime highs today, looking at those sunny skies. There's that bubble of heat over Southern California shifting northward over us. That's the heat that we've got over the weekend. But here's the thing. This heat is then going to expand eastward as we go through next week. So we begin to cool down thanks to this cooler air moving in, or at least pushing that heat to our east. And now, for next week, our neighbors to the east of us are going to be dealing with a heat wave of themselves. So we take a look at this afternoon, and you can again see we're not seeing a ton of clearing, although there could be some spots that we'll see some clearing. But I think as we go into Friday afternoon in particular, we'll see a better chance for some of that afternoon clearing out along the coast, and not to mention inland and for the higher elevations. Here's a look at the small correct advisory, essentially for Crescent City along the coast here. Northward, that's in effect until 5 p.m. on Saturday. And then we take you southward where there's a small correct advisory kind of to the west, but out to sea, not on the immediate coast. So just something to think about if you're a fisherman or just a boating in general. We go into this afternoon, the wave heights are starting to increase, but we'll notice them even more so by the time we get into Friday. So be prepared for higher waves as we go into the next couple of days. Your marine forecast for today, winds from the northwest at 5 to 10 knots, waves from the northwest at 3 feet at about 5 seconds, and from the northwest at 2 feet at 9 seconds with that patchy fog out there this morning. Here's your forecast for today. Temperatures in the mid 90s for most of us in Trinity County. Some of the cooler spots like Ruth with a high of 88. We take you out to Hoopa with 92, 93 for Willow Creek, 89 out in Garberville, and low 60s for the immediate coast. But boy, you start heading just a tad inland, it begins to warm up pretty quickly. There's a look at your 7-day forecast across the region. Hoopa, Weaverville, over 100 degrees by this weekend. That's when we have the excessive heat warning, and not to mention the heat advisory, but those temperatures will begin to plummet as we go through next week. Certainly something a little bit more to look forward to. Your 7-day forecast for Eureka, low to mid 60s under partly to mostly cloudy skies.